Happy draft day, everyone. It's Reusse's favorite day of the year, the NFL draft. Reusse Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk. You told us before we cracked the microphones here, Pat, you have a new theory.
Yes, they use their 11th pick to draft a quarterback because they don't get to move up. And then they trade the one that they got in the first round later for a second rounder and a third rounder and maybe something else. So that's my theory. They go all Spielman on us just when we get excited about these new geniuses. They go Spielman on us and trade down with
So
the
you're
second.
saying they only make the one first round pick and it's sticking at 11,
Yeah,
but
yes.
then we get a couple of day 2 picks. We get to have fun tomorrow night.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Then they don't want to sit out day 2. They don't want to sit out day 2, so they can't get the guy they want. They can't move up to 4, so then they trade the second first rounder. That's my theory.
Okay.
So,
You just couldn't take being nice. That column on Sunday just took your
I
soul
know.
right out of you.
No.
So you've got to
I know.
lash back.
No, but of course the good news is if it was Spielman, he'd trade that second first rounder for 2 5s, 3 6s,
And
and 4 7s. So he wouldn't have to sign any unsigned free agents for more money. He likes those cheap late draft choices. You know what's interesting though? Farrell Payne got 500,000, I'm told, to go to Texas A&M for, I don't know if that's a 3-year contract or just a 1 year or what it is. But
Yeah.
we now have these guys, these marginally good college basketball players, making more than NHL rookies. Don't we, Judd? What's the NHL rookie contract? Like 450 or something like that?
I don't even know. Yeah, probably.
They're making more than, if you make the NHL as a rookie, you're making more to play basketball as to get a bunch of rebounds and maybe do something. It's I saw that and I thought, holy cow! It's how I'll tell you one thing. No baseball team's ever going to be able to sign a 2-sport athlete who's also a basketball player. He's going to make way more than they make in a minor league. So it's really weird, isn't it? But anyway, hey, draft night, exciting. I'm glad everybody's all fired up. And
I think
what do
we're
you
to the
think?
point where for 3 months people have just been salivating over the idea of trading up, and then that trade they made to get the 23rd pick just felt like, okay, this is step 1, and
Yes,
step
right.
2 is going to be. And I think you're right, by the way. I think I don't know that it's for sure going to happen that way, but there's a really good chance that they don't trade up. They stick at 11, maybe they stick at 23. But I think we've gotten the fans so riled up here with, not necessarily us, but like fans are so riled up that if that happens, they're going to be pissed.
Well,
And
I also
they
love
might still get a great quarterback at 11, by the way.
I also love the fact that the fans are mad that the Falcons' punishment is not going to directly assist the Vikings, as if the Vikings were on the cusp of signing Cousins and he got stolen away from us. We don't want Cousins, but we want compensation for losing him, even though we don't want him.
We want our pound of flesh, damn it. From Atlanta.
Yes,
Give us our pound
yes.
of flesh.
How would you like to be Atlanta? You just paid that moron $45 million, and then he shoots off his mouth about doing everything that every other team does with a free agent, but you can't talk about it, you idiot. But since he was on Netflix, he thinks he's this big sharing celebrity, and he this is all him. This isn't like Falcons did something disreputable. Everybody does it, for God's sakes. It's
Yeah, it's
just,
great. He just get big
you
smile. He's
don't-
like, oh, the trainer and I, yeah, we're best
Yeah.
friends now. We've been talking for months.
You don't admit it, you stoop. I bet they're so upset, that they're gonna end up getting fined like $5 billion and lose a draft choice or 2 for just because the NFL. What is wrong with the NFL? What do they care? Why do they care?
Well, there's got to be some order, doesn't there? Or should we
Yeah,
just
well,
say, hey,
they
the
don't
season's
have
over.
order.
You can do whatever you want.
Do you know who gets in trouble now? The Falcons PR guy. This happened with the Vikings. Cousins
Yes.
gets up to a microphone and shoots off his mouth, and Cousins' agent inevitably then blames the PR guy who's supposed to tell him, hey, don't talk about all the tampering.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, it's but the NFL acting like, oh, this is some egregious thing. Don't have the 48 hours of legal tampering in, right? What do we have beforehand? We have legal tampering, don't we?
Yeah, it's the negotiation window, technically. The NFL doesn't like the use of the word tampering, Pat, because that
Yeah.
implies that you're still doing something wrong.
But what do you but during the negotiation window, while I'm making my decision, I'm not permitted to go meet the trainer or something like
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
Well, why? Why? It makes no sense.
Well, I think the
When you
spirit of the window is let's talk some general finances here, okay? My guy's looking for 40, and then we can meet the trainer at when the league year starts at noon or
Yeah, but
whatever.
maybe I get down there and they got a guy that looks like Stan Whalen, who used to be the North Stars trainer, and he weighed 350 pounds. And,
Let me get my hands on that Achilles.
yeah. I mean, maybe you got some guy wandering around who's a complete idiot. Shouldn't you be
What
able
you
to
got to
meet?
do now, if
Shouldn't
you
you be
are
able
the
to meet
Falcons,
people?
from now on, Reusse, what you got to do is set up a clandestine meeting between the player and the trainer behind a Cracker Barrel restaurant
Yes.
by the dumpster, and then no one talks about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the NBA has got the the Timberwolves. Everybody reported the Jimmy Butler trade back then on June 22nd, but we all had to wait to what,
Oh, yeah.
July 1st or something. What do they do that? What's that for? I mean, I don't understand it. They think, and this is the Falcons tampered and they stole him from the Vikings and we should get compensation. No, we are so damn happy they took Kirk off our hands. We can't stand it. You think they wanted to pay this stiff $45 million? Hell no. Anyway, who are they going to get?
Oh man. Well, I think right now if you look at like the markets and the sports books, I think as of this morning, JJ McCarthy is still the most
A
likely, but
possibility.
yeah. But it sounds like if you believe the last minute reporting here in the days leading up to Thursday here, they love Drake May. And Kevin O'Connell went on. I don't know if you saw did we talk about this? The Q&A he did at that church in Plymouth. And a guy asked him about, in theory, if you had a quarterback that had some sloppy footwork like a Drake May, and Kevin O'Connell kind of raved about him. So it sounds like Drake May or JJ McCarthy are the likely ones, but we'll see.
Drake May to get to 3 though. What's that going to cost you? You know, you're gonna have to get another next year's number 1 too. Probably maybe you can. Who's 3? Who's picking 3?
Patriots.
Patriot. Oh yeah, okay.
You probably have to give up. You probably have to give up
Mike,
2 ones and a
Mike,
3 in your.
I think Mike Reusse has been covering him for what 50 years, and knows his stuff. Said that it's going to have to be a historic package to get
Yeah.
the 3. So.
I think the Patriots are interested if Washington doesn't take Jaden Daniels. I think the Patriots are going to take Daniels. I think if Washington takes Daniels, I think they might move that pick. But
Yeah,
it'll cost you both
who,
your ones.
Who else would Washington take if they don't take a quarterback?
Drake May.
Or JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy's team at number 2 has been building.
You take JJ McCarthy number 2, you're morons. So
Well, they are the Commanders. So.
It's the NFL, man. A lot of morons.
I hold the Michigan Wolverines responsible for JJ McCarthy winning all those games. He had to make about 4 plays a game. So,
but he did very well with those 4 plays. That's what we're
he
banking.
did. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, he outplayed Penix something fierce in the national championship game because Penix's life was in danger. Okay, that had something to do with the difference between those 2 guys that night. If you flip-flopped them, they would have looked just the opposite that they did in that game. If they would have put Penix in the Wolverines uniform and McCarthy in the Washington uniform, it would have been just the opposite. And
Yeah.
Penix is actually at the combine. Now, me being the big combine freak I am, I just happened to notice this. His numbers were his athletic stuff was really good at the combine, even with those bad knees, right?
Yeah. His
He
pro day, he ran like a
ran fast.
4.46 40 or something,
No, it
right?
wasn't the combine; it was a pro day.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I get confused between all these
Well, when
tryouts.
you're watching all these pro days and
Oh, yes,
combines,
right.
it's tough for
Yeah.
you to
hmm
separate them.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. So, who's your audience? Who's going to be there tonight? Are these mouth foaming Viking
No, it's a very
lovers?
nice community of people
No.
that want unbiased coverage and love the Vikings.
Okay. They do want unbiased coverage. You think?
Well,
Is
they
this
don't
more?
want the
This is
coverage
not.
of some people. Let's
Well,
put it that way.
they're
They
there
love the
because they
Vikings.
appreciate Purple Daily, and Purple
Yes.
Daily
It
doesn't
tells them the
necessarily
truth.
put a rose-colored
Yeah.
tint on things like
That's what I'm
other.
saying. In other
Yeah,
words, a little more cynical outfit than is going to show up for the other places. Big deal, right?
I think
Because
that's
they're
fair to say. Yeah, but
okay.
if they do, here's the thing: if they do what you said, let's say they stick at 11, maybe they still get McCarthy at 11. There's a chance that he could fall. Drake May could fall.
Not that
People,
far.
but people quarterbacks fall. But if they were to draft like Michael Penix at 11 and then a great defensive player or something, I will stand up and say, this is fine. This is fine. People are going to throw tomatoes and boo.
Oh,
People
I'm
are going
going
to
to
be mad.
go into a
I
blind
will be the
rage.
voice of reason if that happens.
Okay. Here's something else I got to ask you. Why do we have this narrative with the Viking fan base? Not only the Kirk lovers, everybody else, but the biggest problem with this team is the offensive line. Why do we have this narrative? They've invested an incredible number of draft choices in it. It wasn't that bad statistically last year. You
No.
got two great tackles if they're healthy. Bradbury actually, according to Focus, he was good last year, right? He was
Better.
fifth
He was
or
fine. Yeah,
something.
he's like an
So
average
why
center
why
now.
do
Yeah.
we always say, oh, they've never fixed the offensive line?
Because
Everybody's yeah, go
it
ahead.
was bad for a long time,
Yes, it
and
was.
the Kirk fans always had to have a crutch, and that's the easiest crutch in the world. Because you
Yes.
can't say, well, Jefferson and Addison suck. There's nothing
Yeah.
else that you can say beyond the offensive line being a great crutch for if
Yeah.
things
Well,
didn't go right for Kirk.
listen, the whole with everything they do now to protect wide receivers and receive any receivers, I've been saying this for years now. The only way you can play defense is to go after the quarterback in exotic ways that have never been done before. They are asking offense, they are asking 320-pound men to do things that 260-pound athletes do. That's why they get hurt during the year. They got them doing all kinds of stuff that big muscular mooses shouldn't have to do. And it's you're going to get hurt. You're going to get a couple injuries every year on the offensive line. And the Vikings had even Spielman in the last few years, they did everything they could to fix the offensive line. And this idea, oh, they've ignored the offensive line, they got to go get an offensive lineman, it drives me crazy. If there's a
I
good one out there, go get him. But
Yeah, I think what's fair to say is they're not the best offensive line in the NFL. But what happens is you watch your team every week, and
yeah,
maybe you don't compare contextually to all the other 31 teams. Even the best offensive lines in the NFL are allowing pressure on like one in every four dropbacks.
yes, yeah. Well,
Because
that
guess what? The guys on the other side are also being paid a ton of money to break through and
yeah.
try and chase your quarterback.
And they're also better athletes. You now have 225, 30, 35-pound linebackers instead of 270, and they got guys that are great athletes, and they're 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 wanting you as offensive linemen to reach these guys when they're 8 feet away from you.
Yeah.
They put responsibility on the offensive linemen that are, you know, if you keep an offensive line, Detroit, except for Ragnow getting hurt for a while, managed to keep a good offensive line together last year. That's why they were pretty good.
Yeah.
But you always get injuries. So look at Green Bay. Look how many seasons Green Bay's had, good seasons, but they pretty much got ruined by their offensive line getting, Bakhtiari. They finally got rid of him. My God, nobody played fewer games for more money than that guy. Didn't they release him? Didn't they let him go?
Where did he
Bakhtiari
go?
retire or something? I don't
Is he
know.
still a free agent,
I don't
or
know.
did
He
he?
signed. Yeah, I mean,
He's
he's
definitely
deferred
not
so
with the
much.
Packers anymore.
Yeah, they finally said, well, let's see, we can't use that as our excuse for failing again for the fifth straight year that we didn't have
Although
backup.
here's a conspiracy theory for you guys. So Christian Darrisaw is up for a big contract probably next offseason. And I haven't seen the social media post in question, but an emailer sent a note that said, "Hey, the Vikings put out like a slideshow of some of the top draft picks in recent years by the Vikings, and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and suspiciously missing was Christian Darrisaw.
That's true.
Is
And
there
I
a
saw
doesn't
thought that they could include him in a trade tonight?"
yeah,
saw that.
wasn't that the rumor that they would want like two number ones and maybe three number ones number one next year and Darrisaw, if because then okay, then you are starting all over again, right?
Unless you take
And the
Michael
offensive
Penix.
line. Yeah, no, what I'm saying with the offensive line, though, if you let him go,
Oh, he's great.
he's great. Yeah, I suppose some teams are probably getting afraid of what you have to pay the top flight offensive lineman. Though they're getting some money. Of course, don't worry, you can just steal it at the other end if you don't think he's earning it. You can just say, "You're going to pay a half, or you got to take a hike." Well, we're gonna,
Yeah,
worst union in the history of unions. So.
yeah.
But hey,
So
it's exciting for it's amazing that the people what they've turned this into is just phenomenal, and I would recommend again anybody who wants to know what it used to be like, find Mark Craig's story from Sunday in the Star Tribune. It was great because it tells you that you know draft forecasting used to be a little weenie sitting in his room in Brooklyn in a little half a studio apartment
yeah.
and coming up with a pamphlet that they sent to everybody. Hey, Judley, I didn't know that you ever got to go out and monitor a broadcast of Al Shaver at Met Center. Your mom lined you up to
Yeah, my mom was the greatest. She sent him a note that said, "My son's a hockey crazed, obsessed, and like listens to your games constantly." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's great. He can come out and sit by me in the booth." Took me down to the old the old press dining room before the
Oh yeah.
game.
Wow, dude. Wow.
Oh, it was great. It was
How
fantastic.
old were you
were you?
then?
Yeah.
Probably 13.
Okay.
Probably around
And
13.
was he in the press box then, or was he in the booth? Because he later on he
Well,
was
he was in the press
in the
box,
press
but
box.
the booth, but
That
that
little
little booth that they created in the
yeah,
press
the
box.
crayon in there. Okay.
But
Yeah.
what a guy. God, he was a good
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, he was a good guy. I love the story about. I asked Tom Reed if he ever knew Al to have an enemy, and he was saying. He said, "I don't think so." He said, "Wait a minute. We were standing out in front of the hotel in L.A. waiting for the team bus, and this guy was walking down the street with a big box." And Al says, Al said, "Hey, sir, hey, what's in the box?" Al says, the guy says, "None of your bleeping business." And he said, that guy did like Al Shaver. That's the only guy he could think of. So, yeah, what would it be like to go through life as a media guy and have everybody love you? It would be
He had
fantastic.
no ego. That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah,
and there
none
was
at
no
all.
social media, so even if there was
Oh,
like
sure.
10% of people that didn't like him, they
Yeah,
couldn't really tell him that.
that's true.
Although, if you were a hockey fan and you listened to him, it would be impossible to not like him. But I want to
Yeah.
tell you something. The amount, the Star Tribune, I read the Star Tribune comments, and in addition to attracting the worst human beings in the world, you get incredible misinformation from these people as they're giving you their memories. They had a guy last night that we had a guy that I saw that he remembered when WCCO had Cannon doing North Star games and KSTP had Shaver. This This never occurred, you moron. You know, Cannon sat with him, and then later Cannon did Gopher games and would say, you know, number 17 is down here below the CCO microphones. Steve could never keep up with who was who, you know. And
Who was Steve Cannon's color commentator? Was it Morgan Mundane or Backlash
I
LaRue?
don't know who it was, but he had Robbie
Morgan.
Meads. Remember
Morgan.
Robbie Meads? He hang around. He'd have Al. He'd sit next to Cannon and have the lineups, and he'd point to the guy that had the puck on the piece of paper
A spotter.
for Stevie. I mean, Steve loved hockey, but it's a you know it's a real art to actually know who's got the puck, you know, and because you're sitting way up high and it's a big damn scramble down there. I don't know how many guys you think just do it off the TV screen now. Because that's another thing you got to remember. The 2/3 of the time, Al was doing it without a TV screen. Right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah. The games weren't on, you know. How many North Star games are on a year? 20 maybe?
Yeah, about 20, 25.
When did they start doing the whole season on TV
Well,
for North Stars games? They had to, like, early 90s, they had to have been, right?
The 80s Spectrum Sports, which you could subscribe to, started to do home games a lot, and then like Channel 9 did road games. But I mean, Al worked alone on the road forever, which would have, I mean, for hockey.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what the number was for the North Stars, but the Twins were doing under 50 when they first came here, and I think they went to 50 later on, but only 4 home games would be on.
Yeah.
They'd have 4 Friday nights in the summer that they'd have a home game on, and they didn't want to do that because they thought the cheap Scandinavians wouldn't show up at the ballpark if you gave it to them for free on television, and they were probably right. But the problem was they didn't show up either when it wasn't on television. So anyway,
well,
I think those Whiteys are in
legend.
trouble. I think those Whiteys are in trouble, don't you?
It's going to be tough. Yeah, you know, it's going to be tough for them.
3-21 now, right?
The perfect medicine at the perfect time for the Twins. I mean, legitimately, they needed 3 or 4 straight wins to even keep the season on life support, and here come the White Sox. So, and you get them again next week. It'll be great.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I was remembering, and it was I said this on Twitter. I remembered it was in Comiskey Park in '82 that Gaetti said, they got to change our name to Hapless Twins, he said, because every time we go into a town, the newspaper said, the Red Sox start tonight. The Hapless Twins are in town to start. He says, every place we've been for 6 weeks, we've been the Hapless Twins. And that team was 16-54, and then they surged to 44 and 60 and 48 the rest. So there's hope for the Whiteys. Maybe they'll be last half of the season. Maybe they'll be within 10 games of 500 or something. Yeah. But this is what equals they're only the third team to only have 3 wins through their first 24, something like that.
I mean, there was an Orioles team that started like 0-21 once, a Cubs team that was really bad. Yeah.
This is a perfect example, Pat, of put the ball in play, too, because this White Sox defense, I don't know what happened to Andrew Benintendi, but that guy can't move anymore. At one point, he was one of the better outfielders in the game. He is terrible
and
now.
You know, even before this disaster, and there's been about 3 years where they haven't been able to catch the ball at all. And Tim Anderson was terrible, but he had some offense to him. But it seemed a little lonely over there last night, though, Declan.
Yes.
Crowd
it was very light crowd. Yes, very light crowd.
So it wasn't the distraction of the Wolves that was causing them to have problems. Well, I don't know. I'm sitting here wrestling with the idea. Am I going to go see the Whiteys again? I might have to go just so I can hear the the quips of the White Sox beat writers.
There you go.
It's been great.
As
It's
they
been
go,
great sitting behind them. Yeah.
they're carving them up pretty good. So
Yeah. All right, Pat. Well, enjoy draft day, enjoy Twins White Sox day, and we'll recap with you tomorrow.
what are the beverages being served at the Fillmore? Do you have?
Well, we've got across the street beforehand. Our friends at Fulton are putting on a little happy hour. Yep.
Wow.
Otherwise, it's come on in and drink whatever you please. Be
All right,
responsible,
sir.
kids.
See you guys.
All right, Pat.
All right, see you, Pat.
Have a
There he
good
is.
night. Goodbye.
Reusse Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold. Happy draft day.